Well, let's get some more perspective on this. George Bataille is a Syrian refugee activist pushing for the U.S. to take action. He delivered a 330,000 signature petition to the White House, calling for the U.S. to resettle some of these refugees. He joins us now from Washington. George, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the petition and getting so many signatures. Talk to me about your decision to set up this petition on the White House website. Was there one particular moment that spurred you on?
Absolutely. Thank you, Aisha, for having me. It means a lot to me for being able to push something, for being able to talk about this and start this conversation in the U.S. I am Syrian. I came from the U.S. I came from Syria to the U.S. 2.5 years ago, and I feel the obligation to be able to do something to my people. So I started it when I started seeing people dying, when I started seeing people are just running away to save their lives. I felt that I have an obligation, and I strongly feel that the U.S. has a moral obligation to respond and to amount to the leadership. The U.S. has always been the leader in refugee resettlement, and we cannot just stop now. The response from people was enormous, was amazing. American people, 300,000 signatures. We gathered 300,000 signatures. This is a huge number. We had it's a grassroots. I started the whole thing while I was at an Apple store waiting for my phone to be fixed because I felt strongly that this message would resonate with people, and it did.
So George, let me ask you this. A few days ago, the White House announced an initial plan to resettle as many as 10,000 Syrian refugees. But you've got all these signatures on this petition calling on the White House to do much more. What more do you want to see them do?
I think 10,000 is not enough. 10,000 is not enough. Germany pledged 800,000. Turkey already has 1.7 million. Lebanon, a country with 4 million citizens, has 1 million. It's 25%. So if you just want to take something proportional to the U.S., can you imagine 80 million coming to the U.S.? We cannot leave the other countries taking this by their own. I think that the U.S. should at least take 65,000 by 2016. This is a number that has been argued by the International Rescue Committee. This is a number that 14 senators wrote a letter and recommended this number for President Obama. This is a number that everyone thinks is the least what the U.S. should and can do. 65,000 is less than 1,300 per state. This is nothing. We can do this, and we need to do this. We need to amount to the leadership of this crisis.
So, George, let me ask you this: 65,000. That's the number that you're pushing the U.S. to take in. Let me ask you this: as a Syrian, as someone who escaped less than 3 years ago and knows the suffering firsthand, what goes through your mind when you see European leaders fighting, disagreeing as to whether they should take Syrian refugees, take in refugees full stop, and people putting up razor wire fences and putting people in holding camps? What goes through your mind?
First, as a Syrian and as a human, I believe that we are all humans. We are of equal worth. We all have the right of living with dignity and security. There's no difference between humans. There's no difference between an American and Syrian and French and Somali. We all have these rights. So what I would say, I really appreciate what Germany is doing. Germany is leading by example. Germany is doing great stuff, and other countries need to follow. So what I think that every country should take part of the responsibility. The U.S., Europe, the Gulf states in particular, and every other country in the world. This is a humanitarian issue. We never had something like this since World War II. We need to act. Change would not happen randomly. Change is a product of human energy, and we need to do something.
Agreed. And George, one final question, quick question for you. I understand that once you have over 100,000 signatures, the White House is forced to respond, is obligated to respond. What happens next?
Okay, so actually we just finished a meeting in the White House. The people in the White House has been very positive, very responsive. They're really interested in responding to this crisis. So what would happen next? What we are seeking, three things. First is the government to admit 65,000 refugees by 2016. Second, we ask the media to keep this conversation open. To see, I encourage CNN to ask presidential candidates what they think. Many of them, it's a bipartisan agreement. People, candidates from both parties said that we should do something. American people should engage in such a conversation. And third, I would say, keep pushing, keep donating, keep showing the world that the Americans are compassionate, because they are. And so many people in the U.S., they are contacting us, they are asking us, how can we open our house, how we can open our home for refugees, how can we help?
George,
so this is amazing, and we need to keep pushing.
We will continue to tell the story here on CNN. We are committed to it. George Batta, we appreciate you joining us to speak from the heart and tell us about delivering this petition to the White House. Thank you so much
for joining
us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.